Hello, I'm Hushicho, and I'm here to talk to you about something near and dear to my heart. A disclaimer first, though, this ain't gonna be pretty. If you don't like hearing a group of people being read for filth, please choose another video. Lately there have been some hot takes on Pride and Pride Month and Pride celebrations that I have to weigh in on. Those of you who know me know that I am gay, and I have addressed several of these matters before in other videos or in critiques. For quite a long time, the gay community has struggled for recognition and validation. The point of this was to at least have basic human rights available to us so that we can live lives of our choosing. The gay community has always been a distinct culture, and one of the major parts of that community is opposition of censorship and silencing. We are a more enlightened and mature culture regarding sex, and thus many kink communities are strong and essential parts of the community and history, and absolutely deserve representation at Pride events. All of us who are gay belong to the gay community. That doesn't mean we agree with everything anyone does on behalf of that community, and it doesn't mean we affiliate with each other just because we're gay. We can come together and accomplish something, and we can oppose oppression together, but it's not like we're all a big happy family simply because we share a single trait in common. Gays and lesbians, as well as trans people, ever since the vague organization of a community distinct and separate from the mainstream, the straights, have embraced the things that make straight people's society clutch their pearls. It's kind of hilariously laughable that a mainstream culture so obsessed with spawning of offspring has such a massive issue dealing with what happens beforehand to make that possible. Meanwhile, the people who don't revolve their lives around crapping out kids are generally more able to deal with sex and sexuality in a mature way, dealing with it matter-of-factly instead of constantly being ashamed of something natural. And that's the problem here. Pride and shame don't go well together. And that's why kink absolutely belongs in pride celebrations and events, and why children and narrow-minded straight people do not belong anywhere near them. For one, pride is not for straight people. It's not for the mainstream. Every day for them is a celebration, because that's what the vast majority of society caters to. They don't need an additional party to validate their lifestyles. But additionally, these are the same people who voted against us having basic human rights. Since 2000, there have been numerous laws, policies, and so forth that were proposed primarily or solely to deny basic human rights to people, mostly as a judgment, an attempt to legislate a narrow set of morals. Certainly not all straight people or families who want to attend Pride acted or act against the gay, lesbian, or otherwise queer community. But you can guarantee that at least half of these people attending are people who, in the past, did at least one major thing that resulted in oppression, discrimination, or further deprivation of our community of human rights and protections. So there's that, which is really enough for anyone to be made persona non grata and barred from being around a group of people they targeted and victimized. But there's also this. If you're an ally, which any straight person, especially with children, is at best in a Pride event situation, you cannot demand anything of us. It is not for you. This party is for us. You are a guest, and that's it. We should not even be entertaining the thought of making it more comfortable for you. Your needs and wants are irrelevant in this community, and we owe you absolutely nothing. We are grateful for the support of allies, but if we change to suit them, it becomes about them, which is not the purpose of an ally to a social cause or a movement, and not what any ally should want. People, gay or straight or otherwise, who are so insistent that we remove kink or anything to make strangers uncomfortable, are comparable to if a Fox News anchor or other similar piece of shit decided to go to Planned Parenthood, and while there, this, will be generous and call them a person, this person decided to insist that Planned Parenthood can keep what they do, but they need to get rid of that whole abortion business because it makes the Fox News assholes uncomfortable and it's controversial. Sorry, not sorry. It's not for you. Fuck off and shut up. And whether you're someone in the queer community or someone who's just some straight idiot, your opinion is not welcome, and it's only doing active harm to the rest of the community. It's good to be cautious, as with the corporate pandering that's become more and more visible. However, overall, it's better for us to be seen as a valid market to appeal to. Our money is finally good, and we're finally being acknowledged as a part of the economy, worth selling to and worth supporting. Seeing this, even just annually, helps to normalize the community and helps to ensure especially the younger generations grow up more naturally inclusive and included as well. It is, of course, imperative that we also remain firm with our position. Corporate support, ephemeral and fickle as it may be, cannot be allowed to dictate censorship. It's nice to have the acknowledgement and the support, but it's not worth that much. We cannot further suppress members of our own community and our own culture for the questionable benefit of a pat on the head from the mainstream or acknowledgement from Johnny Straight Boy. But throwing out things to be more acceptable to the mainstream is absolutely never okay. That comes from a place of shame. Censorship comes from shame. At the risk of repeating myself, nothing good comes from shame. Pride events came about as an answer back, a defiant act against shame. We would not allow the straight mainstream to shame us about our interests and about the things that are fun. We do not subscribe to the same shame-based mistakes the mainstream community at large is indoctrinated into from an early point. If we cannot be proud of our choices in life and what we enjoy, then what is pride for? Obsession with straight people and their affairs is largely a shame-based act. And every time we get something fun, especially something that acknowledges our differences from the mainstream, there's inevitably complaining from largely the same people who do nothing but shame us and everyone else constantly. The highly entertaining reboot of The Rawhide Kid, a comic book, some years ago now, caught a lot of flack from some niche K groups that were pretty questionable themselves. I know because I was at a lot of the same conventions and trade shows, and those are the same assholes who stole my shelves. But that's a story for another day. Essentially, every time there's a character who doesn't fit what this or that group finds attractive, it's time for bitchin'. Because the Rawhide Kid was a bit of a fussy queen, they bitched ceaselessly. Despite the really very good writing by an experienced writer of the genre and the character, despite the superb art, again, by experienced creators in the genre, they didn't like it because Rawhide wasn't butch enough. And let me tell you, straight acting or straight passing is super problematic bullshit that I don't have the time or desire to get into right now. But as I just pointed out, it's shame-based. It's self-loathing gays to some level who find other gays profoundly off-putting and would rather assume a lot about someone based on their assumptions about how people act. Like most things in human culture, a large part of this perception is based around gender roles and assumptions, as well as defiance of those very same things. We are, as a community, queer, which means that we regularly defy those conventions in gender. That is what unites us if nothing else tends to. It is unacceptable to summarily eject the very things that set us apart from the mainstream and from straight conventional society and homogenized bland lack of culture exemplified by the mainstream. If you want those things, you're welcome to them. You're just not going to commandeer our big gay cruise into an iceberg just because you aren't comfortable around kink or whatever you may not be comfortable around. That's part of what pride is about. Being able to put your personal, petty, childish bullshit aside and, even for one day or one weekend or just a few hours, to celebrate what sets you apart and what makes you special. We have literally the rest of all time to experience exclusion, attempts at shaming, and bitchy little stunts designed to invalidate things that some know-nothing teenager just discovering their identity isn't cool with yet. To be even perhaps a little controversial here myself, I'm going to make the nonetheless very true statement that most kinks and kink groups that would show up at a pride event contribute a whole lot more than plenty of the newer letters in the queer quilt bag. You want it family-friendly and think of the children? You might as well do away with pride altogether. Strike the month. It's never going to serve a purpose after that. Make it a real Mickey Mouse event. Turn it into something so hatefully flavorless that even the elevated peasants in charge of China will find it acceptable. In short, no. I don't think children or really straight families should feel welcomed at pride events. It's not an event being held for them. Sex happens to be a major part of most adults' lives, as does sexuality, and kink goes hand in hand with those things. Most people involved in pride see sex and sexuality as normal, regular parts of life and the human experience. You cannot take those elements from pride, especially as they are so crucial to the overall identity of the community. Stop trying to sanitize pride. For better or for worse, smug know-it-all twinks aren't turned away from the community or events in it, and neither are bitter, joyless old queens who don't want anyone else to have fun. We don't need more problems from the inside. We have enough of them from every straight asshole who thinks they're clever by pretending to criticize corporate pandering during Pride Month, when in reality they're just homophobic and want an excuse not to have to deal with the gay. But all that aside, it's also bad to use straight people as an excuse when it's not really even about them. If you want to censor things and are okay with the massive infantilization of people by authority and government, please fuck the hell off and never come to a Pride event. You're as unwelcome as the Westboro Baptist fuckwits and even less dignified than those shit monkeys. Shame has no place in Pride. Stop trying to put it there, or we might as well not have it. This is why we can't have nice things. Stupid people, often in or on the periphery of our own communities, shooting off their loud mouths in abject ignorance.